Plaice, the fish that for many anglers signifies the end of winter and the beginning of a new fishing season. And the best location to be, the flatfish holy grail so to speak, Brighton. With 50cm plus plaice coming out of Brighton each year, thousands descend every spring to the shores of one of the UK's best flatfish destinations. With many anglers hoping its flat, sandy seabed will chuck up a new PB, and I'm not ashamed to say I'd love to be one of those anglers. The prospect of a PB fish and a new venue, for me, with its own quirks and challenges, seemed too good to pass up. So when I had the invite to load my gear, collect some bait and head down, I couldn't refuse. Well, welcome to a beautiful, sunny Brighton beach. Thrilled to be here, super excited to fish it. I've been here before on trips and holidays and stuff, but I've never fished it. Really excited to come down and see what it's about. Of course, we're into Plaice season, so that's going to be the main target for today. I'm down here with Martin again. He actually sent the invite out, said, do you fancy Brighton? I was like, yeah, go on then. It's springtime, Plaice are in, never fished it, let's give it a go. So we're stocked up with worm baits, we've got lug, we've got rag, and we're here to fish. Now, when we first got here, I've just got set up, put lines in the water, they've been in for like 10 minutes. And I do have noticed there's a bit of colour in the water quite close in, but I've just sent the drone up and I think it starts to dissipate at a distance. So, I've got a little tap on the short range rig, funnily enough. But what I've done is I've sent a pulley rig out as far as I can with a size 2 hook. I've got size 2s all round actually. Sent it out as far as I can to try and find the fish. No bling on that one, ultra streamlined, as I say, to see if we can find something. And then my other rod is a 2-hook flapper, full of bling, full of beads, full of all the good stuff that we know the flatfish love. And that one's been sent out a fair distance, as far as I can cast a 2-hook flapper, I guess. Just to try and get beyond that cloudy water and find the fish. Well, best to ignore what I said about the distance rod. I had some cracking bites then on the close range one with all the beads. Unfortunately, I think I was a little bit too frantic and didn't let it develop. But it's a good sign. First bites in 10 minutes. Right, well I was just having a chat with Martin, setting the world to the right, and my right hand rod, which is the short range one, I'm sorry I didn't get it on camera, absolutely hooped over, cracking bite. Now I think it was a bass, because it was pulling away. As soon as I walked over to it, started reeling, nothing. So either it could be flatfish attacking the beads rather than the bait, but from the bite it looked bassy. It was very sharp and rattly. It looked like a bass had taken it. So whether he had taken the beads, the worm or something and not hooked himself, I mean I've got size 2 hooks, so they're not tiny hooks, but I don't know. But again, that's 2 bites, 2 very distinct bites, and Martin's had a bite as well in the space of probably 20-30 minutes. So yeah, we're gonna catch one. Whatever it is, we'll catch it. Challenge on. So it's quite a big tide down here today. I mean, especially compared to what we're used to down on kind of more the Dorset coastline around Southbourne and that. You know, big tide for us is maybe 2-3 meters at the max. Today the tide's about 6.5 meters, and I can definitely tell it. It's one of those where you're having to cast to one side and let the leads kind of find themselves quite often to the side of where you've cast them, which is fine. It's just obviously when there's 2 of you, you've just got to kind of manage that and make sure you're not kind of casting on top of each other and you're aligning everything up. But we've got plenty of space enough between us that we can still socialise, chat, but not be fishing on top of each other. But we've just come up to pretty much the top of the tide now, and it is just turning around and already pulling the other direction actually quite strongly. Okay, well that swell said hello. There's some big swells coming up every now and then. I've already moved back once. But yeah, I need to keep an eye on that. This is the first session I've had all year where I'm in the t-shirt. Yes. I think it's just an important moment as your first Plaice of the season. It's like, okay, right, yeah, we're actually into summer now.
Yeah, I mean, I put my really thick hoodie on today thinking, oh, it's going to be a bit chilly.
You're regretting it?
Yeah, I'm really regretting it now, actually, yeah.
Well, that wind has picked up a little bit earlier in the forecast, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's a chilly wind, but it kind of
nice
with the sun. It sort of compensates, you know, sort of erases them both out, sort of thing.
Unfortunately, I think it's coming like it's a westerly, isn't it? So it's not creating any swell at all, really. I mean, it's still flat calm, which is
there's not a huge swell at all. I mean, you do get an occasional sort of 3 foot wave like that one just come rolling in there.
I'm hoping the tide doesn't come up much further, to be honest.
I was just saying actually on my camera that I was hoping this isn't going to come in much more around in the afternoon, because it's seriously.
It's getting there, but I think we're just we're coming up to slack soon, aren't we? It's not too far off.
What is it now? 9:45. Is it 10:30?
10, half 10 between then. So
yeah. So hopefully, I mean it's close.
It's getting there, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's your expectations, hopes today, thoughts?
I mean, obviously we've come down here to catch Plaice. I mean, that was the initial thought for it. So we've headed down. We've got sort of black lug and ragworm and various bits and bobs. Try and see if we can get some Plaice out. Hopefully, I mean, I was hoping we'd have an early fish this morning. Obviously, you had that one bite, which I don't think was a Plaice bite by any means. But yeah, I mean, it's just going to be a case of fishing hard. Hopefully, the evening, if anything, will be the productive time.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we'll see what else we can pluck out while we're here. I have, you know, I've got a debate, so I could also have a play around for a ray or something like that. We'll see what happens.
It's kind of one of them where it's you know, ideal, flat, sunny conditions, great Plaice fishing, but then we have got this little bit of a swell, we've got this cloudy water, so it's like, you know, where do you put your eggs into what basket?
Yeah, I mean, last night I sat there, I looked at, you know, the previous forecasts we've had and a couple of videos that have been put up, and it was all crystal clear water, you know, perfect weather, and I thought this is it, you know, this is the day. We're going to have an absolute blinding day. But we got down and, yeah, like I say, there's a bit of colour because we did have a bit of a blow-up last night. I think it got up to sort of 30 mile an hour gust. Yeah,
it was enough just to kind of cause a bit of a stir-up in the shallows, isn't it? So.
But, I mean, hopefully, you know, we can get past that and get some out.
We'll find fish today. I mean, the fact that we've already found fish, we just haven't landed them, is definitely encouraging. So it's always exciting, kind of like, well, I find it anyway, when you come to a new mark and it's like, right, you figure this out, you find the spots, you just learn it. It's always kind of adds another element to just trying to catch the fish. You're trying to learn the venue at the same time, which is always part of the fun, I think.
I mean, I spent, you know, 40 minutes on Navionics last night, looking at all, you know, the terrain, seeing if there's any deeper parts or shallower parts, and you know what we're fishing into. I mean, it's pretty uniform out here, isn't it?
I thought there's a little bit of a something there, then you've got the reef down that side, but this stretch here, it looks to be pretty much just flat sand. I mean, we're coming towards the end of March now, so the Plaice will be inshore. They'll be kind of close in. You know, if you're fishing it in winter time, January, February time even, then, you know, you have to, if you're shore fishing for Plaice anyway, you normally need quite a bit of distance to find them. But I think this time of year, like I say, we're sat here in t-shirts. Sea temperature always lags behind air temperature, of course, but even still, I think they'll be inshore. When I was fishing down Southbourne earlier this week, I was catching them right, you know, 30, 40 yards out. So yeah, I think we'll find them close in, but we just got to find them first. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think that that session you had at Southbourne, I think that, you know, I should have 50% of that catch that you caught, really. As the bait supplier, there's got to be something involved in it.
So does that mean anything you catch on the rag today is my fish?
Well, we'll come to that one later. We'll discuss that later.
They do exist. Really faint markings on them.
Yeah, it is.
Like really pale, actually.
Yeah.
Nice shot. Was that on the lug, was it?
Yeah, on the long rod. That was on the
distance.
Out of distance, yeah. On the pulley wishbone.
Lovely stuff.
Result.
There we go. Off the mark. Yeah. It's not a match. Well, there we go. Lovely stuff. Martin is off the mark with a nice little Plaice. There we go. Target species. So we know they're here. We know they're feeding. He says that one came at distance. So yeah, might have to put a bit more effort into the into the cast. I am fishing one at distance though, but with no bling. But I can now see, actually quite a distinct line in the tide or in the sea where the stirred up water actually is. So kind of gives me a better idea of where to aim now. It's a very kind of contrast from coloured dark water, murky water, to then I can see the clearer part. So what I might do is rebait the distance one and send it out there See if we can find a fish as well, eh? Well, before I've even got another rod in the water, he's got another fish. Little whiting.
The notorious one.
Yeah, well, that is a sign that we're not completely summer fishing it. A whiting.
Brilliant.
There you go.
Get
Two
him
off the list, yeah. 2 species. Right, I should have another lovely bite on this rod. I don't want to say anything until I've seen it yet though. I think there's a fish on this. I've got a fish, but I've got Martin's line. Might be a little flounder. Yeah, it's a flounder. It's got the, it is a fish. I'm off the mark. Not a target, but right, well, I've got you in the tent to hopefully keep you out of the wind a little bit, even though I've got mics on, but the mics have been a bit temperamental, so they might be on, they might be not. Hopefully you can hear me regardless. We're finally off the mark. We're not quite a target species, but a flatfish. We've got ourselves a little Brighton flounder. Lovely little thing, really, really small. And I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but if I hold it in that sunlight, you might just see the really faint orange specks on his back there. Similar to a Plaice, of course, but he's definitely a flounder. If you rub your finger up his spine, it's you can feel it's rough, whereas a Plaice will be smooth all over. But yeah, awesome. I'm off the mark. I'm not blanking. Oh, calm down. You can get back in there, mate. Back in that tub of water. But yes, we have found the flatfish, so I'm pleased. Hopefully they get a little bit bigger. So as you can probably see, these aren't ideal flatfish conditions. We've currently got a stiff onshore wind, kind of southwesterly, and it's wind against tide at the moment. So it's creating a lot of chop, a lot of swell. You might just see, again, I don't know if it will show on camera, but we've got really coloured dirty water for the first, I don't know, 10 to 50 metres, maybe 10 metres less than that. And then we've got clear water out there. So that this morning was way out like here. Kind of, not, well, you could cast just beyond it, but it needed a big cast. So the hope is the fact that that cleared water has kind of come right on shore, and we've got, or the dirty water, sorry, and we're now fishing into clean water, is what's probably helping us and saving us a little bit. Still not ideal, but as that flounder shows, we're still picking up the flatfish. I tell you what, I needed that fish. It had been probably about, well, over 5.5 hours with just a couple of bites and nothing to show for it. So yeah, I'm buzzing now. Morale's gone way back up. Well, I was just chatting with Martin, and we're both pretty convinced that these next few hours of fishing, which is probably going to be our last, so we're going to pack up, give it till kind of dusk, until sun sets, probably about 7 PM at the moment before packing up. And it's probably going to be target bass. As this low tide is coming in, the tide is about to turn actually, so we will soon have wind with tide, which will calm things out a little bit. At the moment, we're at the bottom of the tide, we're getting some nice big surfing actually. So we could start seeing some bass action. It looks really bassy conditions actually. If we're going for the bass though, it's going to be bigger baits, big ragworm baits. I have got a pulley pennel with me with some bigger hooks that I can stick out. So it might be a case of having one flatty rig out and then one bass rig out. We'll make the most of it with the time that we've got and the conditions that we've been given. Okay, the decision has been made. Those conditions are far too bassy not to give it a go. And with us about to approach sunset, or we've got a few hours of light left, I should say, it seems a really good time to try and target a nice bass. So I'm leaving one flatty rig out there, which can do its thing. It can scratch around essentially. And then I'm going to send out a pulley pennel with some slightly bigger hooks. This is an old rig from the bottom of my tackle box, to be honest. So it's not ideal, but it will do the job. I'm going to make a big rag sausage on this. A big bait. I've got tons of worm bait left, tons of baits to use up. And we'll get it flung out there right on the back of that swell, right on the back of those waves, and see if we can't pick someone up. My plan of attack for a bass rig is, as I said, I've got a pulley pennel. I can't remember what size hooks these are, about 3/0s, I think. I'm going to stick one rag on there initially. All the worm I've got is pretty small. Get that on there, like so. Right, that is one worm. And then we get the rest of our worms and just start to head hook those on, like so. Stick a load of them on there. Try not to get pincered as we do it. out like that. Yeah, I've got, these are all really, really small worms, but I've got quite a lot of them. So this is a good way to use them up, I feel. Hopefully, catch a fish. Okay, so I've got a load of worms there. I could go for more, but that's probably going to be enough. There's probably about 5 worms around that hook. And then I'm going to grab my bait elastic. Now this is actually the same method I used to catch a load of cod off of Chesil back in August with these big kind of rag sausages. Now I'm just going to start to lightly bind it all together. With worm baits, you do have to be quite light with the bait elastic. You don't want to cut into it and smush it all up. You do want it to be a nice compact sausage. We don't need to go crazy with it because we are going to clip it all down, of course. And it doesn't have to look pretty. It's just got to be big and juicy. Okay, there we have it. That is nice. It's 5 worms in there. So lots of juice, lots of scent. I'm going to get my pennel hook, give it a few twists through the back of the worms, like so. Slide that down. And there we have it. A nice juicy ragworm bait, fit for a bass. Right, well, we've given it our best shot, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Our wind has really, really picked up. We're at pretty much the bottom of the tide. It started to flood in, but I think after a long day's fishing, we're about done. So we're gonna start packing up. I've got about a two hour drive home, which shouldn't be too bad, hopefully. Overall, I am pleased. I don't think it's been a failure by any means. You know, we've both come to Brighton today to catch a flatfish. We've both done that. So, tick that box off. Would we have liked bigger fish? Yes. Would we have liked more fish? Yes. But I think with the conditions that we've had, we've done well to at least get some flatfish on the beach. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.